Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Buckeye Blitz podcast. I'm your host, Chad Stryker. Welcome in. Thanks for taking some time today. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out, and you'll get updated about more of the items that we're doing, so we appreciate it. Today, I'm doing Q&A Tuesday, so I'm answering some of the mailbag questions as I see them from my point of view that were submitted to my website. So I will drop that link from my website not only in the description of today's video, but I'll put it up on the screen for you as well. Thank you for taking some time to submit your questions. I do enjoy them. It's really fun, and I hope that you like the answers to what to your questions and what I have to say. If you'd like to submit a question, like I said, I use my website, so check it out down in the description of this video. Before I get into any questions, just a couple quick things. Spring practice is 5 weeks away. Spring game tickets go on sale February 10th, and the spring game is April 15th. So we are rapidly heading into spring ball, and that is good news for those of us in Ohio, because if you're like me, the snow, the rain, and the cold weather and the gray skies are getting really old. So hang in there. We're almost back. And then lastly, welcome back, threes. I am jacked that James Laurinaitis has returned. I have one autographed football in my collection, and it's James Laurinaitis. It's behind me, and I think very highly of him. I always have. He's a great worker, great guy, and it's going to be fantastic to have him as part of the program. So welcome back, threes. Happy to have you. I want to say that I would welcome back any Buckeye that has multiple pairs of gold pants that will be good for the program to teach these young kids about how to beat that team up north. And all I have to say is, heck yes. And so I would absolutely love to bring Mike Doss back to help coach the safeties as a GA. There's a couple other players that come to mind, but right now, on the defensive side of the ball, having James Laurinaitis back in the fold, doing recruiting, talking to the kids about, hey, I know what it's like to play linebacker in Columbus. I played 10 years in the league. Very similar to Brian Hartline with the wide receiver group. He played in the league. He played in Columbus. He knows what it's like. And I think that'll go a long way on the recruiting trail. So I'm excited. Again, welcome back, Coach Laurinaitis. So one of the questions that got submitted, circling right into the website submissions, is why is Ohio State doing what they are doing in regards to the transfer portal, and Michigan and Alabama seem to be snatching up guys? Is Ohio State doing something wrong? I will answer this the best way I know how. I absolutely love this question. I talked a little bit about this during my NIL versus NFL podcast. However, I think I broke this out, and I'm going to break this out into 3 different responses. Number one, the coaching staff, especially Coach Day, is very big on culture fit. Ohio State has a culture that they want to keep and maintain, and if they feel like the young man won't be a fit, they probably aren't going to take him. So from the start of the transfer portal, this goes all the way back to, Justin Fields, essentially, that, they pay attention, they're looking at it, they're watching it, and if they feel like a young man can help, they definitely take a look at him. But if they feel like he isn't going to fit in with the culture of the existing team, the culture of the locker room, they're probably not going to take him. And they're looking for more traits than just what can he do on the football field. So, which kind of feeds into my couple other ideologies here. First, I have yet to see, maybe other than Justin Fields, Ohio State coaches guarantee a starting position to someone coming in a transfer portal. and also NIL money. Ohio State as a whole, 99.9% of the time, like I said, outside of maybe Justin Fields, and I think at one point we took a right guard from Rutgers, they will not promise a player a starting position. And a lot of these guys that are transferring, they want that guarantee, and they're just not going to get it, at least not from Ohio State. That's not really the way they operate. They're going to give them the chance to compete, but I very rarely have I seen Ohio State do anything around giving or guaranteeing a starting position. NIL money up front. Ohio State takes care of their starters. CJ was making bank, and Travion's making bank, and Maya's doing well. Tommy's doing well. Marvin doesn't even do anything with NIL. So, but they aren't doing what UT or Bama or Texas are doing with these kids. They aren't just dropping a bag for somebody that hasn't yet produced for Ohio State. So that's part of why they're doing what they're doing. They're very methodical. I think OSU is doing a decent job. I don't think they're doing a great job. I think they're getting a C from me as it when it comes to the transfer portal. So I would say, if you were going to give a B, C, D, F, I would give them a C. But I don't want to get on a tangent here about NIL or anything else. Again, some of this comes into culture fit too. Ohio State wants guys that fit their culture. And if a guy's coming in and saying, I want a starting job, I want money, I want this, I want that, I want this number, and they haven't played a snap for Ohio State, not going to go over real well. You come to Ohio State, you're going to get developed. You're going to be around some of the best coaches. You're going to get a chance to compete for a national championship. And that's their pitch. They're in the top 5 every year. They had a top 5 recruiting class again. I expect them to be great again. The expectations in Columbus are for them to be great. So if you want to come to Columbus, that's really what you have to be willing to sign up for. So, and then the last thing I would say is they believe in who they have and who they've went out and recruited. The coaches, they believe in developing their guys. They believe in who's on the roster. I love the fact that Ohio State believes in their guys. They coach up their guys. They recruit the guys, that they think will best fit at Ohio State. And then that in turn reinforces the culture. Lastly, I'll say it is getting harder to hold on to those great team guys at the end of your 85-man roster because you need depth, because we saw what happened at corner. We saw what happened at running back, with the injuries and the attrition that can happen in a single position group. There's those guys that you just love to keep on your roster. They've been part of the program for 4 years. They've not really played much. Maybe they play a little on special teams, but it's getting harder and harder to keep those guys on the roster because of the fact that you need people that can produce in today's environment. So, that's what I would say. That's what they're doing. And I would give them a C. My next question that was submitted: what's going on with all the offers all of a sudden for Ohio kids in the 2024 class, and did we really offer 9 running backs? They're not all from Ohio. So there's 2 parts to that. Number one, the 2024 class, and even looking at the 2025 class, Ohio has some supreme talent this time around. It had kind of dipped. I think COVID really hurt a lot of the players in Ohio because we don't have spring football. And I will run on a tangent some other time about the fact that we don't have spring football and how stupid the Ohio athletic departments are, but for Ohio high school. But yes, we have actually offered 11 running backs in the 2024 class. And there are a couple Ohio guys, as I've mentioned before. Sam Williams-Dixon out of West Holmes High School, which is actually fairly close to me, and then Jordan Marshall out of Archbishop Moeller, both great young men. And then they've offered another one that is, considering Ohio State, is Stacy Gage out of St. Thomas Aquinas, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. All three of those guys have interest in Ohio State. So but now, as of now, Tony Alford has offered 11. And I think they recently offered Jarrett Gibson out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. He's a 5-star, number one at his position. So you're gonna offer him. You just are. That's just the way it's gonna work. But why? Quite honestly, I believe this is a result of what happened last year with NIL in the state of college football. So they're going to offer more guys than they normally would at a single position group, knowing that they need to narrow it down to probably 2. I expect Ohio State to take 2, possibly 3 running backs in the 2024 class. You always like to have a pair and a spare, and I think that's what's happening with a lot of their offers. The defensive line's been the same way. They are offering kids. They're getting offers out early. And you better believe if they offer a kid from Ohio coming out of his junior year, and you're offering them early, you need to be prepared to take them. So both Sam Williams-Dixon and Jordan Marshall, they can't really miss on those guys. Both of them are supreme talents. So if they get those two and maybe one other, I would be really, really happy with that. Looking at who they've offered and who is interested, I think that they have a really, really good shot at Jordan Marshall out of Cincinnati. Sam Williams-Dixon, I watched his interview with Jeremy Birmingham. I didn't get I've always wanted to play at Ohio State. It's my dream school. I didn't hear any of that. So, curious about that one. And then Stacey Gage is one that I'm excited about. He runs hard. He's a big kid. He's 5'11", 200, type small package, like you would like to see a running back. And the kind of reminds me of J.K. Dobbins. That's who it reminds me of. So, he's a little guy, not little, but he's gonna do well and as a running back. So the last question I had was, what can we expect out of Brian Hartline as an offensive coordinator and Justin Fry as a run game coordinator? So let me start with the latter. Let me start with Justin Fry. Now that Kevin Wilson is gone, I expect Justin Fry to get away from that zone stretch run that Kevin Wilson was so tied to, even back to his days at Indiana. I expect, especially with the running backs that we have, that Mayan Williams and Dallin Hayden in particular, like to have one cut and hit and get downhill. So I fully expect to see more of a multiple gap scheme, counters, especially G counters with a pulling guard, and center counters with a pulling center, and it's one cut and go. That's what I expect to see with Justin Fry, and especially since this offensive line is younger and a little bit inexperienced on the outside, but you have 2 very veteran guards in Donovan Jackson and Matthew Jones, both of whom could help with the running game. And lastly, Brian Hartline is an offensive coordinator. I'll be interested to see, and I think this is probably where this question was going, will he be more into the air raid offense since he coaches the wide receiver group and he recruits the wide receiver group? And how much will he mix the run in with the pass and how that all works together? Because I feel like Ryan Day's offense, the pass sets up the run more so than the run sets up the pass. I hope we get away from the stinking bubble screens like 30 times a game. I'd be happy with maybe 2 or 3. I know they view it as an extension of the running game, but for that to work, the blocking has to improve on the outside. So I expect Brian to run Ryan Day's offense. I expect that he will add some new wrinkles, especially maybe some different route trees and some things that he'd like to incorporate even from his days in the NFL. I do think that Ryan Day will have the ultimate veto power, though, over the play calls. So do I think that Brian Hartline will be doing a lot of the Offensive coordinator role, yes. Do I think that it's going to be within the confines of what Ryan Day wants to do? Yes. So lastly, again, I really appreciate your questions. I hope I answered them the best way I know how. Again, this is just kind of how I see it, what I think, what I believe is going on. Friday, I will take our next look at the state of the position and dive into some Devin Brown throws and what he looked like. So I've got some spring game footage to take a look at, and we'll just do a little compare and contrast with his mobility against Kyle McCord. As the quarterback competition heats up, we have a true quarterback competition, so I'm excited to do that. So again, thank you for the website submissions. I appreciate them. I appreciate you guys listening. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I will drop my website link in the description of the video. And you guys have a great Tuesday. We'll talk again soon. See ya.